The following program, Know the Cause, is paid for by Mediatrition Incorporated.
And I eat so much differently than all of my friends that I don't have many. You know, I'm no fun. I don't drink alcohol. I don't eat potatoes, so I'm not that much fun. But I sure feel good as an old guy, and I hope at 80 I still feel good, God willing.
So what are some of the things that our mitochondria like that fungi don't like? Well, some of the things I discovered is that the preferred fuel source for the mitochondria is fat. They don't like high sugar.
If you have mold-induced sinus infections, I have a tip for you on how to keep your respiratory system healthy. I have a whole arsenal of things that I do here, and the reason I have so many is we know you have to rotate your antifungals.
Foods to avoid if you have a fungal disorder. Here they are. Corn, wheat, rye, barley. Isn't this interesting? Beet and cane sugars, grains.
Antibiotics are micro poisons that kill microorganisms in micro doses. We don't use microdoses.
For the past 45 years, I have dedicated my life and my whole career to finding the root cause of disease. And I now know with certainty that we must play a role in our own health care. I'm a self-care advocate, and you know what? Every time you change your diet for the better, exercise, or swallow a nutritional supplement, so are you. Now welcome to Know the Cause.
It's 21 years ago that a friend of mine, his name was Dr. A.V. Costantini. He was a physician with the World Health Organization. He autographed this book for me. This is Atherosclerosis, Plaque in the Arteries, Hope at Last. Chapter 3, atherosclerosis is the leading cause of death. It was 21 years ago, it is today. Despite intensive research, its etiology remains unknown. The cause of it remains unknown. But there is no question that the cause of atherosclerosis in some way involves food. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. I'm going to do a two-part here. I don't know, go 5 or 6 minutes. I have some graphics I want to show you, and then we'll take a break. This is pretty deep. A headline came to my attention, I'll show it to you in a minute, that I thought, oh my gosh, the medical community is really confused on this. Let's try and take some of the confusion out for you, the viewing audience. If I stand in front of heart surgeons one day, I will give this exact presentation. First, let's define atherosclerosis. Okay, here we go. What is it? Atherosclerosis, a progressive process responsible for most heart disease, is a type of arterial sclerosis or hardening of the arteries, okay? Every doctor knows that, but why would God put this beautiful plexus of arteries, capillaries, veins in our body only to have them become hard? It's got to be, logic dictates, it's got to be something we're eating, breathing, something in our environment that does that, okay? Let's keep going. What causes it? Well, says WebMD, a major medical website here in the U.S., it's caused by high blood pressure, smoking, or high cholesterol. Wow. Wow. What if it were so much? And that doesn't say food, does it? Okay. This is the headline, folks, that came to my attention. A doctor friend of mine forwarded this to me the other day. Here it is. Common oral infections in childhood may increase the risk of atherosclerosis when they age in adulthood. So I hypothesize down below. So children's mouth germs block their arteries when they grow up? Really? Shall we think about this a little bit more logically? They don't know why infectious mouths in children lead to blocked arteries when we grow up. And therein lies the problem, folks. It's what you didn't learn in medical school that scares me, not what you did learn. Thank God you learned anatomy, physiology, chemistry, etc. But logic wasn't a course. Oral infections in childhood can lead to blockage of my major arteries. The logic in these articles is, well, maybe we didn't kill all the bugs with the antibiotics that we put the child on because of that. Okay, so walk down this aisle with me. What does every child with a mouth infection get from every doctor? Okay? And this graphic, I think, is important because it summarizes the article. Doctors don't know why these oral infections progress to blocked arteries. But they do know that virtually all children get antibiotics when they have an oral infection. And then I pause, wait. Could antibiotics in some way cause atherosclerosis later in life. I mean, here's the joy of this book. Now, this is a 700-page book. He autographed it to me on December 1st, 1998, Dr. Costantini. We became phone call buddies. He passed a few years ago, but 700 pages, atherosclerosis, hope at last. This book says fungus causes atherosclerosis. How are we exposed to fungus? That's what I'm going to continue today trying to teach you folks. It's just so important. It's ironic that 21 years ago, these three physicians with the World Health Organization said, you know, if we think about it logically, it has to be something you swallow that gets into your bloodstream that can cause hardening of the arteries or plaque to build up or blockages, occlusions. And it's not just the arteries, it goes on to smaller blood vessels, you know, veins, and then even smaller capillaries. What is causing these occlusions? And a paper comes out that says, you know, children who have lots of mouth infections end up with hardening of the arteries or plaque in their arteries. And the first thing if I were a doctor, if not for the Vietnam War and my poor grades, I probably would be a doctor today, okay? And I would say the same thing, So make sure your children don't get dental problems because that goes on to cause atherosclerosis. Really? Infections cause atherosclerosis? There are none so blind as those who just can't see. The question is, it's not the infection, it's what you gave the child for the infection. Could that be causing atherosclerosis later in life? So this last graphic before we go to the break says this: antibiotics are fungal mycotoxins, poisonous to little tiny organisms like bacterium in little tiny doses, and poisonous to larger organisms in larger doses. We humans are eukaryotic, heterophilic, multicellular, very, very big organisms. Could antibiotics, a child doesn't get one antibiotic. Children get lots and lots and lots and lots of antibiotics, as do we adults. Could that contribute to ill health down the line? When we get back from this break, I'm going to go back to the book and reference you what the good doctors thought 21 years ago, so don't go away. I remember, boy, I was younger. Those were the good old days. I remember reading this on the airplane coming back from Canada one time. It's a deep book, but you can still get it. It's $65. Just go to Fungal Bionics, F-U-N-G-A-L Bionics, B-I-O-N-I-C-S. And if you have heart disease, folks, or hyperlipidemia, high blood fats, it's a book you really need to go through because it's not technical. It has references, hundreds of scientific references. 21 years ago, they were saying this stuff. Let's look at what they were saying. Here's some notes from Dr. Costantini's Fungal Bionics book regarding hardening of the arteries and fungal mycotoxins. This one kind of blew me away decades ago. Mycotoxins cause high blood fats. And you know what? How many of you guys are running from well, your cholesterol is 245, I'm going to put you on a statin drug. Doctor, why did my cholesterol go up? We don't know. We don't? We seem to have known 21 years ago. Now, maybe not in everyone, folks, but exercise, maybe the B vitamins, niacin particularly, and a diet that is diametric to most other people. I'm just about a 70-year-old guy, and I eat so much differently than all of my friends that I don't have many. You know, I'm no fun. I don't drink alcohol. I don't eat potatoes, you know, so I'm not that much fun, but I sure feel good as an old guy, and I hope at 80 I still feel good. God willing, I believe I will. Okay, so the cause, mycotoxins cause high cholesterol, high triglycerides. Atherosclerotic lesions occur as an end result of exposure to fungi and their poisons. So these lesions are because we're eating food with these mycotoxins in them, and I'll explain this. Primates, for example, monkeys, develop high blood fats and atherosclerosis when fed fusarium mold in corn. Corn is one of the most contaminated agricultural products in the world. Maize, corn, followed by peanuts, and now wheat. So a grain-free diet, talk to your doctor. A grain-free diet might be best for you. Here's some more notes from this wonderful book. All drugs, at this one, are you sitting down? All drugs and dietary measures effective in treating atherosclerosis and/or high blood fats share only these similarities. They have antifungal or anti-poison activity. So the drugs griseofovin, lovastatin, ketoconazole, neomycin, fibrates, etc., all of these that treat high cholesterol just happen to kill fungus or reduce toxicity in the body. Isn't that mind-blowing? Why 21 years ago? Why 21 years ago did we know that we could follow a certain diet, and we knew certainly 20 years ago, probably 50 years ago, that exercise or sweating would help detoxify us, and we know that certain supplements, CoQ10, niacin, etc., are great for people who experience higher blood lipids. They're called blood fats. And always talk to your doctor. Don't stop taking a statin. So yes, here's my graphic. So sure, fungal mycotoxins can and do cause atherosclerosis. But wait a minute, how are you and I exposed to these mycotoxins, right? We have identified classified 75,000 species of fungus. Of those, only 300 are found to be toxic to man. But each of those makes from 1 to 11 poisons. So there's probably 1,000 poisonous mycotoxins out there. Here is how we are exposed to them. These are commonly consumed mycotoxins: antibiotics, alcohol, grains, peanuts. Wait a minute, Doug, are you saying alcohol increases the risk of atherosclerosis? Because my doctor says when I eat, dinner, a glass of wine is okay, or maybe 2. I think you'll find this fascinating. Yes, because like antibiotics, alcohol exposes us to mycotoxins. Here's a quote from the journal Stroke in 1998. Regular consumption of more than 50 grams a day of ethanol emerged as a prominent risk factor for early atherogenesis, the formation of fatty plaque in the arteries, surpassing even the effect of heavy smoking. So alcohol was worse. 50 grams per day is about 1.8 ounces or 2 drinks regularly. Isn't that amazing? We knew that. What's the American Heart Association's position then on alcohol? Well, if you drink alcohol, do so in moderation. That means an average of 1 to 2 drinks per day for men and 1 drink per day for women, says heart.org. So if you're drinking a tall beer or glass of wine, this alone, one of them, could be about 1.8 ounces of alcohol daily. My friends, here's the take-home message. We're kind of on our own. Alcohol industry lobbies and pays a lot to advertise their products. So does science, pharmaceutical industry. In the US, every ad on TV is exciting organ, piano music with kids running and playing, and how we oldsters need every pill on the block. When you've got lobbying like that to our legislators, you have to be careful. This says if you want to lower blood lipids, if you don't want to worry about atherosclerosis, don't drink, don't smoke, be careful of antibiotics. Hope that helps.
Hi everybody, Erin here with Eat, Pray, Get Well. If you have mold-induced sinus infections, I have a tip for you on how to keep your respiratory system healthy. If you are getting ready to go on a plane and stay in a hotel where you have no idea of the air friend's car and it smells kind of moldy, I have a whole arsenal of things that I do here. And the reason I have so many is we know you have to rotate your antifungals. And I have some silver hydrosol, I've got xylitol, oil of oregano, and grapefruit seed extract. And they are wonderful antifungals, antimicrobial, antiviral, and it's a wonderful way to stay healthy because mold only takes a couple hours to start growing in our respiratory tract, so be ready. Erin for Know the Cause.
When antibiotics came on the market, look, they were lifesavers. Guys in World War II, mechanics busting their hands who died from septicemia now could live. For some reason in America today, we think every boom boom deserves tons, not a little bit, a lot of antibiotics. Antibiotics are micro poisons that kill microorganisms in micro doses. We don't use microdoses. Instead of saying change your diet, we just give more and more and more antibiotics. And I understand that. Ask your doctor if you should take probiotic in the evening before you go to bed when you're on antibiotics, or if you should finish the course and then begin 2 months of probiotics. Because what happens is antibiotics kill what God put there. Vitamin K, B, the vitamins are made by that bacteria in our gut. And what did we do? Erase them.
So if I'm coming on and know the cause, whose basic hypothesis is fungi in our body aren't very good for us, and Greg comes along from Australia and says mitochondria are really good for us, then hopefully we would see a correlation between what's good for the mitochondria should be bad for the fungus. So I had a good look at that before I came over, and that's exactly what we find. So what are some of the things that our mitochondria like that fungi don't like? Well, some of the things I discovered is that the preferred fuel source for the mitochondria is fat. They don't like high sugar, whereas fungi might use sugar for fuel, not for fat. We also found that turmeric, really good for the mitochondria. Fungus doesn't like turmeric. Black seed oil, really good for the mitochondria, bad for fungi. Pomegranate with urolithin A that we talked about yesterday, really good for the mitochondria. Fungi don't like pomegranate. Saunas have a dramatic effect on improving our mitochondria. Fungi don't like the benefits that the mitochondria get from the saunas. Same thing with cold thermogenesis, exercise, ketone bodies. I could go on all day, but things which work really well for our mitochondria, fungi don't like.
Friends, those of you who have purchased, and thousands of you had, thank you very much, the Fungus link to women's health problems, you'll know that every book I've ever published back starting 20 years ago has the Kaufmann diet. It started with a phase 1, phase 2 diet, and then because everybody seems to have an antifungal diet online now, it's popular, thank God. I changed it to the Kaufmann 1, Kaufmann 2, because there are tweaks in all these diets that I thought needed to be made. Okay, chapter 11. I will change my diet under 2 conditions. The new diet tastes great, and I feel better. Okay, let's take 5 minutes or so and expound on this Kaufmann diet, because like I said yesterday on my live Facebook segment, I'm convinced that many of you watching this show right now, if you would do nothing more than change your diet for 30 days, 1 month, you'll notice, that's weird. I feel great. I'm not depressed. I feel so much better. See, medical doctors aren't trained in nutrition at all. And there's no cover up there. They just don't think that's important. But as it turns out, it's hugely important. So I want to talk a little bit about the Kaufmann diet and then your volume switch. Those of you who have this book know I expounded on the volume switch. We don't have an off-on switch. I can't shut your migraines off. I can't turn your cancer off. But what I sell is a volume switch. I think you can turn your symptoms way up by going on the standard American diet, the acronym of which is SAD, or conversely, turn it way down to where you really feel good. So let me explain some 45, 50 years ago why I came up with this Kaufmann diet. And you'll notice it's plural, the Kaufmann diets. The Kaufmann 1 diet is what I want you to dwell on if you've never approached this. And the Kaufmann 2 diet is a graduation of the Kaufmann 1 diet. So if you have a serious disease, diabetes, lupus, cancer, heart disease, etc., kind of hang around the Kaufmann 1 diet with your doctor's approval, right? But the Kaufmann 2 diet, here's what they're for. They really serve 2 distinct purposes. First, to provide a properly balanced diet. That's so important. And second, to literally starve pathogenic fungi. That's what we try and do on this diet. There's many schools of thought, but let me tell you mine. If you have a serious systemic mycosis, a bloodstream fungal condition, or it's affecting the liver, the kidneys, the brain, etc., you need to think about starving it. It must eat. Once inside your body, if it doesn't get carbohydrates, sugars, it dies. Think about that. You need to starve it. But number 2, simultaneous with that, many of you who are extremely sick, need to talk to your doctor about antifungals. And on my website, Getting Started, right there, knowthecause.com, Getting Started, pull it down. The last link is the doctor's fungal protocol. Science for your doctor. Print it off free, 2 pages. Take it to your doctor and ask him or her if you might get an antifungal drug along with the Kaufmann 1 diet. Okay, foods to avoid if you have a fungal disorder. Here they are. Corn, wheat, rye, barley. Isn't this interesting? Beet and cane sugars. Grains. Fungi impregnate these grains. Then peanut, alcoholic beverages, mushrooms, cottonseed oil. Okay, that's a big one. It's used in many animal foods and kind of used as an oil sometimes in our, I'm going to do a whole separate segment, so stay tuned to Know the Cause, because cotton is commonly impregnated with mold. What is toxic shock, the tampon disorder? I wonder. I've just got to wonder, and I did a whole segment on that. You'll see that at some time in the future. But you'll notice in the middle of this, it says alcoholic beverages. Okay? Folks, alcoholic beverages come in many shapes and sizes, and literally, you can go to American Heart, American Cancer, American Lung. They're all saying moderate drinking, which is, 50 bottles of wine a year for a woman and hundreds of gallons of beer for a man, seem to be okay. 2 drinks a day for men. I don't buy that for 1 second. Why? Alcohol is the mycotoxin, ethanol is the mycotoxin of brewer's yeast. Please, as you age, think about no more glasses of wine, no more beers. It's something I think you've got to give up if you want to live. Look, I'm 70 years young now, haven't had an alcoholic drink for many, many years. There are things as we go on in life we just give up, right? And alcohol has got to be one of them. But let me expound on alcohol, okay? This next graphic is going to open some eyes. Wait a minute. I'm drinking kombucha. I'm drinking kefir. Most have low levels of alcohol in them. I did just see a company come out with no alcohol in it, which I think is good, but we're giving this stuff to our kids. Proponents drink them often. You don't drink a kombucha. You drink 7 kombuchas. And this could be a factor in their fungal illness. My concern is, and it's tiny, 0.05, 0.06, it's less than drinking a beer. But if the product sits for a while and ferments, you could get as much alcohol as in a beer. We've got to think, I like bacterial ferments, yogurt, sauerkraut. I like things like that. Yeast ferments remind me of alcohol, which is yeast ferments, it can become alcohol. So think about that with kombucha and kefir. I have no axe to grind with those companies, with these products, but they do tend to feed yeast if what you have is a yeast problem. Consider them almost alcoholic beverages, okay? So if you want to try the diet, it's in all the books. Give it a try and see how you feel after a month. Now you know this.
Then hopefully we would see a correlation between what's good for the mitochondria should be bad for the fungus. So I had a good look at that before I came over, and that's exactly what we find. So what are some of the things that our mitochondria like that fungi don't like?
The reason I have so many is we know you have to rotate your antifungals. And I have some silver hydrosol, I've got xylitol, oil of oregano, and grapefruit seed extract.
We have identified classified 75,000 species of fungus. Of those, only 300 are found to be toxic to man. But each of those makes from 1 to 11 poisons. So there's probably 1,000 poisonous mycotoxins out there. Here is how we are exposed to them. These are commonly consumed mycotoxins: antibiotics, alcohol, grains, peanuts. Wait a minute, Doug, are you saying alcohol increases the risk of atherosclerosis? Because my doctor says when I eat.
The preceding program, Know the Cause, was paid for by Mediatrition Incorporated.